Da da da. Waiting
Welcome
on
back,
delay.
everyone, to the discussion. No more Chris.
What's going
No
on,
worries.
everybody? We're back here. We're just going to be discussing what Chris said, what we've been up to, and what our personal opinions are about Tempest warbands and everything so far 2.0 related. All right,
I'll use this part of the podcast to catch up on some sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
Good night, Ziggy. I'll see you in
nice
2
to see
weeks.
your cameras back, by the way.
Yes, I'm glad I'm actually functioning now correctly. Skynet has relinquished grasp of me. It's feeling good. I feel in control again. It's good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Chris Wilson segment and some of the questions we had. We pulled a lot of those from the community from Reddit and the forums. And obviously Chris can't always answer some of the specific balance questions because his job is to oversee a lot of things. But I think we still got some pretty interesting insights on the direction of the company overall. Was there anything that really stood out for you guys from that Q&A?
Currency stealth nerfs.
Yeah.
Stealth
Or
changing to
stealth
currency in the
changes
economy.
would be more accurate. That's wow.
I mean, I'm one of those people, like, during beta, I was frustrated. I'm like, what got buffed? Like, tell me what got buffed or what got nerfed. And then when we found out, it was kind of interesting, but still, like Chris said, some people kind of come up with these arbitrary numbers with these tinfoil hat ideas, and that's frustrating. You know, like with the Jack in the Box card, I wish they did never mention it, because it was like, it's the same thing with the Spectres, you know? Dead, it's terrible now, it's just one extreme to the other. But the Chaos Orb one, you know, everyone's going to be like, should I play this weekend now?
Because the community's perception of something has a very big and sometimes bigger impact than the actual effect of it in game, and so something like lowering the drop rates of Jack in the Box would have maybe had less of an impact than actually saying they lowered the drop rate of Jack in the Box. I'd like GGG to one day just like use this as lab rats and just be like, all right, we've nerfed the drop rate of this thing, and then just not actually change it and see what
Just
the
straight up
community.
Patch notes of lies.
Yeah, just see what actually happens there. Put it in every patch, make one change that doesn't actually go through.
Yeah, there'd be all sorts of like crazy tinfoil hat ideas going out there.
It was interesting when he pointed out that when they talked about the cast on crit nerf, that there was an actual noticeable change in players with that, even before the patch went through.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was-
like you
that
say
was an
something like
interesting
this has been nerfed, it's not worth farming anymore, so everyone stops farming it and there's less in the economy. I was like, oh, I guess it was to do with the nerf. kind of. Curious about, so recently, I'm sure you guys have been reading and hearing about a lot of the, let's just say, lightning coil gate.
God.
There's been many a lightning coil sort of released into the economy at a similar time, and the community was very quick to jump at dupes, they're dupes, and one guy said that they were all the same item level. There was no proof or anything posted, so everyone kind of just ran with that idea that there was a bunch of identical lightning coils being posted. And everyone was saying it was due to duping, and there was some things that there was some duping happening due to a database error. But Chris came out on Reddit and said that I guess this is kind of the short summary of it, that there was some things being duped. The things that were being duped were mostly inconsequential because there's no way of controlling it. It was just to do with when like database errors were happening, and they were fixed. And since they have rolled out a fixed for that, there hasn't been any duping, and all these lightning coils appeared after then. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this whole thing overall?
It's a perfect
I think a bunch of lightning coils
It's
appeared.
a perfect example of when they display the Spectre change or the Jack in the Box change. Like the community just snowballed it like crazy. It's like I believed it when everyone was like, "Oh, it's all on a level 1 character and they're all item level 74." I was like, "Well, that sounds like a dupe to me."
I mean, it just takes someone to say that, right?
yeah, that's it, done.
I read through that forum or that Reddit post, and I remember the comments being like, someone saying like, "Well, all the jewels are different and the values are different," and then people are like, "Well, they're just divining it so no one catches the dupe." If you can dupe them, why would you care? Just sell them quick.
Okay, I think my theory is that because a bunch of lightning coils did enter the economy at the same time, so that's kind of like what sparked the whole thing, and that is a suspicious thing. And I do think there is some sort of foul play involved. My theory is that an RMT group or website or something decided to release all of their stock at once.
Yep.
And why would they do that? Like it's a bit counterintuitive for business, but it could be a bunch of different things. I don't know. As I said before, I'm not an RMT accountant. I don't know their reasoning behind a bunch of this stuff, but maybe a site wanted to quickly unload a bunch of stuff to make some.
Ziggy, you do realize you just started the next Reddit thread of tinfoil.
ZiggyD RMT accountant confirmed. Yeah, basically last time I said the exact same thing happened.
Also, kind of think about what else happened at the same time. The race season. There's a lot of people who kind of played competitively while leveling, and then now they just care about the race season. So any of the gear they have, they're like, well, we'll put it up, get the exchange rate we can, and then I'll put that into my permanent league character because they're not too concerned with the future of that ladder. So there's that as well, because it did kind of coincide with the race season.
So a bunch of people saying in chat that, a bunch of people saying that they also saw like a bunch of item level 74 lightning coils posted around the same time, or they saw like 14 over 12 hours or something. What are your guys' theories on how that could be a thing then? What do you think? Just a coincidence? Just heaps of same item level lightning coils?
Did the guy's account end in 11211? I mean, that could be a possibility.
Clearly. 11211.
So you probably got it. All right.
I got it. He's bringing him from beta.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't even want to think of the conspiracy behind it. Like, it was what it was. Let's just kind of forget it, put it in the past, and let's move on. Move on.
Yeah. I think the important takeaway is that it doesn't seem like there's any massive duping conspiracy happening at the moment, and GGG is very able to see when large amounts of duping is happening on their end. It's very, very easy for them to track that sort of thing. And they've said there's been none since they fixed the last database error. So maybe if there was some duping occurring, then it was some stuff that happened with the database error. There was a way of exploiting it, and some things were held in stock for a while. But otherwise, it's not continuing on now.
They're item level 74 because everyone's stuck in 72 maps. That one made me laugh. That one made me laugh.
Maybe.
Oh, God. Oh, the community.
Okay.
So good.
Honestly, I wish we could have brought up some questions, Chris, regarding energy shield builds, specifically low life and CI. I feel like, especially attack-based CI, with the change to Blood Rage and Leech getting nerfed at the same time, losing 4% of your ES and Leech not doing much for you, I feel like attack-based CI builds like borderline have to use the gem to even sustain Orgo Claws. I wish we could have brought that up.
At the same time, they did get ES on hit jewels, which is very nice for attack-based ES.
3 ES on hit when you have 10k ES and using 4% of that a second is kind of nothing.
I tried in both CI and low life in beta, and I used 4 3-roll energy shield on hits with low life, and it's nothing. It's not.
Well, you should have just been using split GMP chain, mate. And then maybe it would have been enough.
Low life bow CI. ZiggyD next build. Do it.
Barrage LMP GMP chain. Go on. Get some India.
But when you have 10k ES, which is a standard endgame build, the casters I think they're okay as ES, especially hybrid. But CI attack base, like when you're losing 400 ES a second as CI, 3 ES gain on hit is nothing. It's really nothing. I don't know.
Sell it south.
I also wanted to bring up Cruel Bandits. Cruel Bandits are kind of lackluster now with the introduction of jewels. You almost always take the skill point because one jewel is like 4 times the effectiveness of anything Kraken Oak or definitely Lyra can give you. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the Cruel Bandits right now? Would you almost always just rather take the skill point because of jewels?
Cruel Bandits. I guess I didn't really think about the jewel impact on that. I mean, one passive isn't a jewel; it's half a jewel at best. Like the one passive jewels, really. There are some one passive jewels, kind of, but it's like half a passive. It's like half a jewel at best. So what's that? Like 9% fizz damage?
Well, you figure a jewel can have attack speed with swords, 8%. It can have attack speed. You can have attack and cast speed. Attack speed while dual wielding. Attack speed one hand. Like, it could go forever and ever. Yeah. Or you can have life and chaos res and mana gained on hit. Just those 3 alone you can have on jewel, I believe.
The choice to take a passive over one of those.
If that passive gives you a jewel.
Yeah, that's it. It always comes down to, does that passive make the difference between you getting a jewel and not getting a jewel, and how often does that actually happen?
Yeah, I mean, you're discussing it about like kind of a level 100 build at that point where it's really a meaningful choice. Till then, it's just kind of like, are you getting a jewel this level?
Well, usually it's not that level at all. I mean, if you're getting a jewel, like even I would spend 2 points on a jewel, anyways, right? And would you spend 1 point on 16% fizz when you could spend 2 points to get like 48% fizz with attack speed on a jewel? I mean, things like that. It just seems like Cruel Bandits are kind of lackluster now with the introduction of jewels. I don't know.
You still have to get the
I think
jewel.
it's to get something you can't really get much of on the passive tree usually. Like, oh, my area, I don't really get much attack speed, so I'll get a pretty hefty attack speed bonus that I wouldn't normally be able to get with the passive. And sure, you can get that with jewels, but it's often not going to be the difference getting that extra passive. So it's extra attack speed than what you would have had in addition to the jewels you would be getting anyway. Like, you can't spend that one passive to stretch across the tree and get another jewel.
If you do want to overstack it, you know, if you're playing the Ranger, you get the 8%, then you get Kraken, and then you get 2 jewels with all attack speed. I could see where you're going with that. All right. It does make sense. So in terms of efficiency, obviously, the Cruel Bandit doesn't offer as much, but if you're stacking a bunch of things, I could still see.
It's still normal. That doesn't make much sense. Having, like, the mana even with its buff
going
is still kind
very
of...
closely at the math. If that passive point gives you a jewel, guaranteed, it is better to get the jewel. The jewel is just tons more value.
For sure.
But in a character that's leveling and constantly leveling, it's actually going to be true and then false whether or not that has value. If you picked up a jewel this level, and your next level you get 10 dexterity, at that point in time, taking the attack speed, the cast speed, or the fizz damage, if it's appropriate for those builds, is better. So it's very much you have to figure out at what max level your character would be, and so 100 or whatever you end up playing. And it is very much for like 2 levels it'll be good, next level it'll be bad. 2 levels it'll be good, next level it'll be bad. So it's not, you're not guaranteed a jewel. It's not giving you a jewel socket. I can get that jewel socket by getting 1 more level. That is the math.
I suppose. I mean, it really depends on where you are in your build. I always plan for maps. I don't really plan for leveling because gear can always augment leveling. If you're depending on your passive points, something as specific as Cruel Bandits to really help you out with leveling, I think you're doing it wrong because gear could really... Like, gear is everything in Cruel. Like, just replacing your weapon, it's like, well, just cruise. But when you're in maps, it really comes down to the min-max. And something min-max is definitely Cruel Bandits.
Totally.
I don't think anyone really plans for level 50 builds, right? So... I don't know.
Well, maybe I want to take that mana so it'd make my leveling experience a little easier, and then I'll spend 20 regrets and respec over to the life at endgame.
Well, for my build, I would need 5 passive points to get the closest jewel, so it's Cruel Bandits are garbage to get that passive point.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on. So armor. Armor is one of those things I was hoping for a better question out of Chris, so that's the only one I was really disappointed about. Caster defense in general.
Just to be clear, like with the armor question, we were really running out of time, so we couldn't really push the issue too much more than that. Sorry, we didn't kind of get more time to dwell on it, guys. I agree, we could have gotten a bunch more information on the defensive meta.
No, I do feel like armor in more cases, like I'm playing an armor Reeve character, like which is pretty special. I haven't seen that since Invasion. And I feel like super solid playing through it. Content's a joke, and like lastly, it's like, why are you playing RT Reeve? Who the hell does that? You know, it's just, it does feel like armor is like, you know, we did cry for a while. Armor sucks. Armor sucks. Now we have it, and it's like people are still upset. I just want
people are going to be upset anyways.
I just wish there was more options for casters rather than going armor ES gear or acrobatics. I do wish there was something related to mana. You know, I mean, there is still Mind Over Matter, Zealot's Oath, EB, but more than just that specific area on the tree. It just feels lackluster, especially with the change to Spell Leech. You know, Leech in general as a caster isn't what it used to be, especially with casting damage taken Warlord's Mark being so strong for the past 2 leagues. Now it's kind of like, who the hell would use that? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ziggy, on caster defenses and armor in general right now?
It just doesn't feel very fun making a caster at the moment. That's the issue. Like, there's a lot of good options still, and people tend to think that there's no options for spellcasters, and that seems to be like the overall consensus, that like you just have no options for defenses as spellcasters. GG having no defense. Enjoy your 4K life, no defenses. But the reality is there's a bunch of good options for spellcasters, but it's just awkward, man. It's awkward to build. And it's a lot of, like, stacking a bunch of little awkward things from other areas of the tree and from other skill categories and stuff on top of each other to try and cover a gap that just doesn't really feel like it has a very elegant solution for a spellcaster. So, I don't know. Like, EB might never matter. Zealot's Oath works pretty well in some cases. Obviously, it's much more niche than what it used to be. And you can build some pretty decent defensive spellcasters, but a lot of the time it's like, oh, I need to awkwardly work in Fortify, or I need to awkwardly work in, you know, the 3 endurance charges, or I'm playing an acrobatics build and I use a granite anyway because I need the extra defense and stuff like that. I don't know, it just feels awkward and unfun at the moment.
I completely forgot about hybrid. Hybrid is definitely
yeah.
awesome right now. It is really, really good. I mean, just watching even my roommate, he went back to his hybrid summoner. It's like absurdly strong, especially with some of the reduced mana changes.
Yeah, I'm glad Hybrid's picked up so much. That's what I've been wanting to see for ages, actually. It's more hybrid action.
Finally, some hybrid.
No, you mentioned that in Onslaught, people would laugh at you. I mean,
one of the things, at least when I'm trying to work out like how to set up a build or trying to help someone with one, if you're in the north part of the tree, and you're like planning like a health-based build, it's like, all right, you're no longer choosing, is this health wheel a bit better for my build, or is this health wheel a bit better than build? It's all the health wheels. Just get all of them. Due to the damage.
Who cares about efficiency? You just need all of them.
Yeah, just all of them. And it doesn't matter your effective health, you're going down, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, I think it was Rise or someone in chat said that a lot of it's just people taking time to kind of adjust to the new meta for spellcaster defenses, but it does feel awkward.
It's
overall.
much more gear checkier than before. Before you could really kind of get yourself through most of the maps with just your Granite Flask. Your Granite Flask was good. Now you need the endurance charges. You don't have your cast 1 damage taken during Cry, Mortal Call, increased duration. There's gear checks that exist that really weren't there before. And I've died to being lazy on that one.
I have to say, and this is especially true for evasion-based characters as well, which is something I typically play a lot of, is that if I have to be perfectly honest with myself, and probably I think with most people here, is that it's mostly just that it's not easy anymore. It's not easy to set up the defenses of these characters. I mean, before lightning coils were common, and you would just chuck a lightning coil in your evasion character, and that was easy, and you would just chuck custom damage taken mortal coil and drink cry on there, and that was easy. Those two things easily dealt with the fizz that got through your evasion acrobatics, and evasion acro is very strong, but it just has that one little weakness. Now it's just not easy to cover that weakness, and spellcasters the same. They have the weaknesses, a couple weaknesses, and it's just not easy to deal with them anymore. It's just not easy to take Eldritch Battery and Mind Over Matter anymore and just have a huge mana pool and run Arctic Armor and have that easily mitigate everything. It's just not easy anymore.
And what bothers
it's not
me
necessarily
right now,
a bad thing, but it does...
No, I like those changes. It's fantastic.
what bothers... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ziggy.
It feels hard, man. And people react negatively to stuff that's hard.
What's awkward for me is that which mana life cluster, if you're planning on doing an EB build, you're still going to pick it up because it's life. But it feels so awkward picking up mana nodes when you know you're going to reserve 100% of your mana. So you have these life mana nodes, and you're like, well, I guess I'll pick up 4% because I'm a witch and there's only 2 life nodes near me, 2 life clusters. Unless you want to count melding, which is 3% per point. It just feels really awkward as an EV character, like picking up that wheel. And it's like, perhaps maybe they need to readjust the witch tree somewhat up there.
Yeah, I agree with that due to the changes of EB, some of how the jewel interaction, the mechanics. Some of the kind of things that were just straight up simple, good. It's kind of like, well, now it feels really clunky to get these, but it's my best option, and it's still good health nodes.
Honestly, they should just probably swap, I think it's Cruel Preparation. Is that the other witch life wheel?
Yes.
They swapped that with the mana one, because the Templar has a lot of mana regen and mana type things, and it had Zealot's Oath. That's like the only real ES thing. And the right side of the tree seems to be, when you're in Shadow, you have a lot more life ES wheels. If they just swap Cruel Preparation, maybe the life and mana wheel, the 2 of them, it would feel a lot more fluid.
I like that change, actually.
It just would feel... And because the life and mana wheel is right next to Deep Thoughts, they can kind of incorporate that all together. But yeah.
I think some of the answers are, because it's you have to explore options you might not have liked before, now that things aren't quite as easy.
And can't just do it the
I mean,
exact same
people
way you did
don't
it before.
like Enduring Cry, but guys, give it a go, maybe. Just keep an open mind to having more than one button in your build. Enduring Cry is actually really fast to cast. I have it on like one of my mouse buttons that I just tap with my thumb every 10 seconds, and it feels very. It's easy, guys. It's actually not that hard to Enduring Cry. Even just with no extra investment in endurance charges, it still makes a decent difference to your defense. And then the biggest thing as well, like, or another big thing, is that flasks become even more important. So if you weren't already really paying attention to your flask setup and your usage of flasks, then you need to do so, and maybe even start considering those flask effect belt affixes, right? Flask charges gained and reduced flask charges used, and fast duration for your granites and other things like that. I know, stuff like that.
Nearly every build I use is Enduring Cry. Like, the only time I don't use is like Rallying Cry when I'm playing a mana-based character. Because Rallying Cry is actually good. I know you hate it, Ziggy, but it's freaking solid. I know you hate it, but it's solid.
I mean, I'm coming around to the Rallying Cry just for the damage. Like, apparently, it's pretty good damage, but I use Enduring Cry, so I just use Enduring Cry instead.
Enduring Cry is legit, though, yeah. Here's something with Abyssal. I was thinking about doing a Whispering Ice build, and using Ice Storm with like Azanats with automatically temp chains on hit. You have the Chilled Ground and then Abyssal Cry.
Nice.
Oh man, nothing is moving. It's kind of like that Gouda build, except a lot simpler. What do you guys think? What do you think? Huh?
What?
I want to see that one in action.
Right.
How much are the stats?
Azanats puts temp chains on hit. And Whispering Ice, the Ice Storm, will automatically do Chilled Ground. So the two together is already lethal. And then Abyssal Cry also slows move speed.
Oh,
so it's
the mob's coming to a complete standstill. Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yes. Pretty nice. I'll tell you what, now that I actually really like that cast damage taken in Mortal Coil Enduring Cry was removed from the game, essentially. You can still like custom damage taken in Mortal Coil and yada, but although it was a very easy choice, people are liking how much I'm saying easy, so I'm gonna say it more. I love that we have a bunch of different utility options to explore now. Some of my favorites, the very simple cast damage taken Warlord's Mark deals with Reflect very, very well. It procs whenever you attack a Reflect mob on the Reflect mob, and you get a bunch of extra elites. Works really nice. Cast damage taken GMP Arctic Breath, Chilled Ground whenever you get damaged. Pretty nice.
I've been leveling my cast damage taken, and I haven't been using Warlords. I've been linking it with Molten Shell, and the high level Molten Shell provides a lot of armor with increased duration, so that sucker lasts a long time. And then either you can put in your Golem, because that sucker always dies anyway, so just linking your cast and damage taken. And then Enfeeble. Enfeeble is just like such a solid curse. I know you guys in your Warlords mark, but Enfeeble is pretty legit when everything is buffed by 25% more damage. I'll gladly reduce it.
I'm not gonna put any hate on Enfeeble. It's hard to sometimes see the value of Enfeeble, but it lowers the accuracy, the crit multi, the critical strike chance, the damage. It's good.
I have to admit, after it being many a month since the days of Enfeeble temp chains on every party, I have forgotten about the power of Enfeeble. It has been a long time since we've been together, but I feel the day is coming back a little bit. Maybe there was a time where you would Enfeeble everything.
Enfeeble is amazing. It's so good. Enfeeble's the main reason why I don't pick up Unwavering in my armor builds, because I want them to miss me, you know? Monster accuracy, dude. I'm lowering that shit.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And also, you know, we talk a lot about those spike damage in Path of Exile, the boss critting or monster critting. Enfeeble just wipes that out. Like, there's no chance of that happening, really, when you Enfeeble something.
Truth. So what have you guys been up to anyways? What have you been playing? Oh, Ziggy, you misspelled ProjectPT's name.
What? Oh my god.
RIP!
I had like 3 hours of interrupted sleep, okay? Sorry, Project. Sorry, mate.
What have you been playing anyways, Ziggy? I haven't even watched your stream in a couple days.
No, Zeno, frankly, how dare you? No. I've been playing, since my summoner died, I was playing initially a Summon Raging Spirits hybrid, Angry AA style summoner, and actually had a lot of fun exploring summoner in 2.0. Summoners feel great in 2.0. And obviously, you know, Revens were nerfed a little bit, but they still look very good. And it's nice, really, that you can kind of go hybrid SRS summoner, and it feels really nice now. There's really nice synergies there. So that was pretty fun to explore. I died due to my own silliness, basically. I was greedy. I wanted to get Merciless Revenants. And I decided with 3k HP to go kill Calm and Merciless.
Nice.
And I had Echo still on my SRS, and I Echo casted SRS, and I got perma-stunned and chunked 5 times in a row by a single cascade, and absolutely wrecked. Yeah, just dead. Just dead.
Was there a Tempest in there or no?
There was a Tempest, but didn't have any impact. It was literally just the Cascade perma-stunning me and dealing way too much damage because of my low HP. So no chance to... if I had of not being stunned by one of those guys, or the stun had been a little shorter duration or something like that, then I would have moved out of the Cascade and only taken 2 or 3 hits. But yeah, it was silly. I was... Yeah, I was about to eat dinner, and I thought I'll sneak in this boss kill just before dinner.
That's
don't
always
do that,
when
guys.
your rips happen. Like,
yeah.
I'll do this before I log off. Or
exactly.
What a perfect segue, because that's how I died. Pox was like, "Hey man, let's go watch Wayward Pines." I was like, "Sure, man, let's do it." I was like, "After this map, if I live through it." That map was Village Ruin, and Village Ruin's boss is just a very high damaging boss. I didn't know how it worked. People were just like warning me, they do really good, really high damage. I was like, it should be fine. And I killed the Peacock really quick, and the other guy almost had down. And the other guy was, if you don't know, it's in the Gladiator area. That's the Demon Dog and the Peacock, the 2 unique guys together. And the Demon Dog, he shield charges you with this is a massive multiplier shield charge, and he hit me at max range. And it's a bleed on hit shield charge, and bleed is not affected by armor. It is affected by the initial hit, but not the armor bleed part. I took a half a step, and I was like near dead, and I was like, "What is this damage?" And I just died out. I tried all F4 and it just bled out.
Those little doggies are pretty nasty.
The bleed damage.
You were using an Abyssus?
I was, but it doesn't matter. I had 32k armor, and I went against Tempest, the crit Tempest Cole, and Colonnade with a extra damage as cold map, and he crit me for 400.
I was saying that the Abyssus increased physical damage does apply to damage over time physical. So
yeah, I imagine it would, because it should be the same as like Enduring Cry and that.
Well, I did have a remove bleed flask, but I was out of flasks at the time, and I was like, I should go back to town, but he's almost dead, I won't. And it was one of those situations. It was the literal last thing in the map I had to kill. The last thing in the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the deaths.
Yep. But those are the ways to die, that's for sure.
I will say Wayward Pines was a good episode that night.
Fantastically.
So at least I got to watch my TV.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my characters back to maps, and then I've just such really scrubby deaths. Either not paying attention, you get complacent when you're farming a zone, and you kill a corrupted blood pack, and then you're like walking around and you're like, oh, I have a bleed on me. I'm dead.
Oh man, Project. I was just lamenting yesterday that I was like, Project's doing all this cool stuff, like exploring like low life chaos and stuff like that. Chaos resist based low life and all that jazz, but not getting to actually show off any of them. I'm like, come on.
Every time I get to like 60, something just bad happens, and they're not even like Tempest or 2.0 related mistakes. They're just straight up scrubby deaths.
I mean, every hardcore player has that sort of section of their hardcore career where they'll just have repeated deaths over and over again. My one was not too long ago, actually, when I really wanted to play a poison arrow character in 1.3, and a lot of you guys know the end of that particular streak was the Ziggy melt incident. Because that was literally part of like the reason why I just melted off my chair when I died, because I was just done, man. I couldn't handle gravity anymore after dying 3 times in rapid succession.
The worst one was I leveled from level 1 using Spark, because I was like, screw it, I'm using Spark.
What?
At level 1 to level 60 as Spark self-cast, no assistance. No assistance. Anymore. No, it doesn't. It doesn't shotgun anymore, and it's bad.
If you pierce and it bounces off a wall, you can still do more damage, though.
Yeah, but it only starts to like look pseudo decent once you have all the duration stuff and pierce and everything.
I really think Sire of the Shards is good for Spark, just because you get a free GMP and then you just go pierce with it, and like it's pretty good.
It was finally starting to get better, because you need to be a higher level. And then I was not paying attention. I killed the corrupted blood pack, and I was just walking, reading chat, and dead. I'm like, oh, I just leveled from level 1 to 60 as Spark. I am not doing this again.
Yeah, you get like that. You know, you've died twice or 3 times silly, and then your next one you're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna push through it, no resistances, whatever. You kind of stop giving a shit, but then you die again, and then maybe you die at least one more time, and then you're like, all right, you take a step back, and and then you're like, all right, I'm just gonna take it slow this time. I'm gonna make sure I'm covering all my bases. That's what happened to me, at least last time I had one of those sections.
Yeah.
What's your current character and how's it going?
I'm 47 and I'm playing around with Magma Orb to see how it is. You know, just with the actual changes out of beta, because I haven't played with it outside of beta. It's slightly clunky, but when I have this much AoE, like, because I have the Witch AoE nodes, the Templar AoE nodes, and the Sign AoE nodes, it's got some pretty nice radius.
Yeah, so it's how do you like it? I agree that it does feel slightly clunky, but I kind of like the skill anyway.
Like, if you compare it in a competitive setting, it's not really there as a main skill. It has some great points while leveling it, you know, while you're using it, and you just don't have the right thing. I'm curious. What I'm looking at is knockback, if we can do something with that. So I'm actually kind of keeping my eye out for some knockback jewels to see if I can kind of get the double tap, but the delay between the hits is so long that it feels that the second hit is useless.
Magma Orb we're talking here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching you play, and I was like, wow, this looks really fun and really cool. Like, I don't know how high the damage is, but I was like, wow, this looks really
damage is actually
really fun.
surprisingly comfortable.
When you get that sweet overlapping bounces, like you aim just before the mob and you get the first bounce and the second bounce, the damage can feel pretty atrocious at times, pretty good.
Though my biggest complaint to the skill is it's so comical, the animation. Like, it's silly. It's literally bouncing basketball in a game that's kind of trying to be gritty or whatever, and you're like, boing, 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 and I'm like, this skill is so stupid.
The thing that bothers me about it a little bit is actually it burns your eyes out, man. Those, like, it really flashes when it bounces. It's like... Yeah. And after you've been looking at it for a while and you kind of get into that tunnely mode where you're just kind of like just farming and zoning out, just those like constant flashes on the screen, it's like just staring at a strobe light.
It is.
It's not good.
I see your Magma Orb and I raise you a Flicker Strike. Please, Ziggy. I played High Own's Fury Flicker Strike, man, and I thought I was going to die.
See, but that's the thing, you get sick in 5 minutes and then you never play it anymore. I
played that crap to like 89.
89.
It was hell, man.
Aren't you supposed to close your eyes when you play Flicker Strike? I thought that's how it works.
You used to be able to zoom in, and it just made you like teleport to outer space, but rip.
So Magma Orb's like more like you can tell that every time a bounce happens, it's burning out 0.01% of your retina, and you know, just over time, it's stacking up.
Yep, but you know, I've ripped a lot. But that's why I play hardcore. I've been having a blast with Tempest. I'm curious to how things are going to be. Tempest has been really enjoyable for me. I haven't tried warbands yet. Has anyone here done warbands?
No, not yet.
Nope.
I played like a little tiny bit at the start, but no, I haven't really done much.
Honestly, I'd like to do warbands, like a fun, exciting community thing, kind of like we did with the Lightning Tendrils Challenge, Ziggy, where we all get together and get some cool idea where we all play and all experience warbands together for the first time. So that way we have fresh, you know, impressions and things like that. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that could be cool. I'd be up for some sort of event like that. Yeah, I keep hearing about like everyone hating on warbands, but it still sounds really interesting to me. So I guess I'm gonna have to play it and see why everyone's hating on it. But it sounds pretty fun to me. I don't know. I suspect it's similar to Tempest in that Tempest isn't really that fun unless you actually really seek to engage with it. Like, as in you use PoE Tempest, the Tempest tracking website, and track down which Tempests are active where. If you just kind of like play around normally in the league, and then it's Tempest is boring. It's just occasionally you get blocked by a stupid Tempest, or occasionally you run into something fun. I imagine warbands might be the same, but I've heard the problem maybe comes up more when just stuff doesn't spawn, even though it's like a 4-dot instance. But you like just no general spawn still. So
a lot of people say it just feels like standard league with the occasional warbands that just kind of fall over. Once in a while, people say
that to me sounds like you're just playing the league as a standard league, though, rather than really actually seeking to engage with the mechanic. And that's where I think a lot of the challenge leagues in the past have been you just play the game normally and these things present themselves. But other ones, and I think these two in particular, are ones that you actually have to seek to engage with. So maybe that's more of the problem, is that people are kind of more just used to just playing normally and having the thing present itself in your face, like, oh man, these rampage buffs are coming up, or a spirit spawned here, or an exile's fighting me now, and a lot of it just happened randomly, or just through the course of normal play, whereas these you actually, I think, have to seek out. So I think that's the idea.
I think the most disappointing part is whenever I'm entering a zone and there's no Tempest whatsoever. Like what Chris was talking about in having the ability to avoid and create the difficulty in the content, I think is a good idea. I actually like the philosophy behind that. But when I'm playing just strictly vanilla and it's not even like an easier Tempest, it's just nothing. I'm like, well, okay. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, would be nice to have every zone with maybe even some weaker Tempest, so it's just something new.
I actually don't mind the ones that don't have much. It's like I said, it's kind of does feel like a little extreme if you're just playing through the course of the game. Sometimes it's just like an onslaught of like Energize followed by Stinging followed by Abyssal. I've had that crazy RNG. Like I was doing Comb on my current character, and I was like, guys, I'm just gonna log because I'm not fighting Comb with a 100% chance to crit. I'm just not doing it.
I had the always freezing Tempest in there, and I just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go farm Acrodox for an hour.
Yeah, like there are times where it's frustrating, but even like when there's nothing there, it's whatever. But a Tempest, I do like right now I'm farming Fell Shrine for Celestial Justicar, and I'm like, please always be a Tempest in here because I want the 10% increased quantity. That's really good for farming divination cards. So things like that, I really do like Tempest for. It makes divination card hunting a little bit better. I mean, 1.1 times, whatever.
I do feel like when Tempest works well, it has really nailed the loot feeling of it. Like when you have those 20 exiles in a map, and I had Ghetto came up the other day, and I had like 6 Ghettos, and I'm like, yes, just chained it like 40 minutes of 20 exiles everywhere. I rolled them just, I just alped each one of them and had like 9 tabs full of loot, found heaps of good stuff. It was good, man. And then there's like the other ones, like I think it was Noogie recently posted a video of farming the I think I was doing it anyway. Farming the Corrupted Tempest, where you kill mobs and just 6 links rain everywhere.
Yeah, that
6 links
amazing.
and 5 links and stuff like that.
Best change to Transmogrify, where now that it actually stacks, no one wants to pick up every single Operation Shard.
Yeah.
God, please.
Transmogrify is the cutest of all of them. Did they give it a little bit of a buff in the amount that drops, or did they just make them stack?
No, I think they just made them stack.
They made it stack in something else. I forgot what it was.
I mean,
well, the rare
it's
ones
such a pointless
have
Tempest.
It is such a pointless Tempest.
What's a bad Tempest? You're losing bases, you're losing...
Yeah, you could be using them with a Chaos Recipe, or actually
Your
getting
Portal
to sell
Scrolls are now Wisdom Scrolls? I mean, what are you going to do?
It doesn't sell currencies, Come on, mate.
I'm being that guy in chat.
Good job.
I think the Tempests have some enjoyable combinations. I went into a channel, it was well rolled, and channel's kind of fun to do because it's a really nice map tile set, and I like how it spawns, it's fun to clear, and you can get the Tabula Divination
There's too much backtracking there, man, though. There's no way to clear that map without backtracking.
Really? I haven't had backtracking it.
You go like up and then down, and then you have to go all the way back to cross over to the next channel. I don't like it too much.
I enter the Tempest, and this is before you can see the Tempests. I'm colorblind, so some of the Tempests might be more obvious than like when you see them, but it ended up being a Shocked Ground Abyssal Tempest. Now I saw the Shocked Ground immediately, didn't see the Abyssal. First white mob just hits me, and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm done.
Yeah.
Even so, Abyssal got nerfed. It used to be 100% of physical damage, or of any damage, converted to chaos damage, which is obviously bonkers because every other damage is tuned around mitigation in some fashion, especially lightning, fire, and cold. They're tuned around having maxed out resistances. I'm frozen. Are we okay? Am I good?
Just give it like a couple seconds.
All right.
All right, you're good now.
All right. I was saying that, so Abyssal was ridiculous, 100% of damage converted. to chaos, and damage is tuned mostly around like having capped resists. Like you take an amount of fire damage that you can survive when you have capped resistances. So when you go to like negative chaos or even just like 0% chaos, it's one shots fill. Now they did nerf at the 50%, but still be incredibly careful because that's still a huge amount of chaos damage to take.
It's still too much, honestly. Yeah. Like my friend back when Abyssal was what it was, he thought it was it looks very similar to Blasphemous, both the same color. He walked into Merveil, she got it before he even stepped in there. Ice Storm dead. Instantly. Done. And like 50% I could still see that happening, man. Like like one to two ticks, you're just dead. Oh man. Because you figure that thing does what? It does physical and cold damage to Ice Storm, or is it pure cold? Whatever it does a lot of damage. And if you don't have resistance, you're gonna get slaughtered.
Yeah, you have to have like capped chaos, but or it's gonna be brutal because generally, like when you take actual chaos damage, so something does a chaos attack, it's balanced around having, you know, if it's a particularly nasty one, then having like 0, and then you just take nothing if you have like capped chaos, or if you have like 60 or 50 chaos, you take like no damage. But these things are not balanced around that at all. Ooh. They're balanced around having capped, so yeah.
It's still very, very scary. And to me, it's like if an Abyssal Tempest spawns, leave.
I think we're like 45% plus chaos to do Abyssal.
If a mob crits you, it's gonna hurt.
I love doing like Energize seems really fun, but it seems really rippy. Like Energized with any discharger, you're done. It's shared boon on crack. Any boss, I'm not doing. I died to it. I died to Merciless Dom. I was like, Energized isn't that bad. I could do this. Dead. Sucker crit me in the face. And that bleed, like I alt F4'd and I died.
Charge one, yeah? That's the charge one.
Yeah, he had full charges, and he had like power charges, frenzies, and obviously that gives him more multiplier and damage. He crit me with his attack that applies the bleed, and that affects how much the bleed does. And I alt F4'd, came back, and I was dead, and I was like, what the hell? So, lesson learned, don't mess with freaking Abyssal, don't mess with Energize, or the Stinging, I think, isn't it Stinging? Oh, the physical one, Crushing, it's like, just does a bunch of random physical attacks, like the Chaska Rain or like ground slams. That tornado does not is not mitigated by armor. The little like sandstorm looking tornado, it will just shred you if you're playing an armor character. So heads up on that.
Yeah, you definitely got to watch out for some of those.
I've been enjoying the Tempest. Especially when I get, I think is a Cataclysm roll when they spawn really, really fast.
Yeah.
That can be. That's my favorite.
I think that's Intensify, or is that just buff how much it gives? I don't
Cataclysm is when there's heaps of them, yeah.
Okay.
I every time I do a Cataclysm Tempest, it's probably the funnest for me because it's just everywhere. It's hectic. It's fun.
How about? Did you guys play that recent? I can't remember what it was called, but it was the race with the Fire Tempest, and it was Cataclysmic as well. So a Cataclysmic Fire Tempest.
Oh man!
Right as soon as the race started, just everything explodes. This raging inferno. I love that they work these in the races, but it like while everyone was sitting like on the beach, just standing there, it's like they'd all built up or something, and then as soon as the race went live, just like all these like fire trap explosions, massive explosion, and the rips just downside the screen, just a massive wall of rips. It was so good. It was so good. Hundreds of rips, because everyone who's level 1 at the same with no XP is rank 1. So all these like rank 1s dying.
That's absolutely amazing. I missed that.
It was so good. You gotta play some of these races. It's crazy fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna try out the races once I'm finished dying to my scrubby deaths.
Yeah. Have you guys played any of the races? I played Descent Champions as well last night. I'm loving Descent Champions. Such a fun race.
I haven't done any races yet. I'm planning on doing it. I just really want to get back into maps. I don't know. I'm loving mapping on this character. I have a bunch of 77s and 78s I want to get back into. So just trying to climb back up. That's all.
I finally got a top 5 last night in Descent Champions, top 5 Templar. It was a good feeling, man.
Congrats, man.
Had a pretty nice run. And I've hardly played any Descent Champions too, so hopefully I can work on that and get it even higher. I actually I'm thoroughly enjoying the races. I know the race rewards this season overall I don't think people can too excited about, but for me racing has always been about the experience, and the experience is top notch now. They've just been improving it a lot over time, and the addition of things like Tempest, and also just the theming of this season too I really like. So I think this is all pretty good stuff for racing. Definitely
more to it. It's not just kind of the all right normal vanilla races.
Yeah, it's not just like generic races and 14 go.
So how's Flame Totem with racing?
Flame Totem is very good, and I used Flame Totem with a variety of different other skills on the template that I ran last night, Descent Champions. You get it from one of the chests, and it certainly makes it a lot easier to engage with some of the more difficult bosses. Like, for example, there's a Cole in Descent Champions that has what is it? Soul Eater, and he spawns skeletons constantly, so if you kill the skeletons, he enrages, and as you start to get him lower and lower, you're usually killing skeletons as you're going, and he just gets tougher and tougher, and that last part, when he's like 10-20% HP, he's just super brutal, just like constant turbo slams, so having like Flame Totem to fall back on makes a big difference in those sorts of fights. So, yeah, Flame Totem is definitely very nice in a lot of those ones that you can work it on. I think what's interesting, though, is more classes can explore more options now with the gem vendors. So I think there's going to be a lot of actual different builds for different classes, which is really cool. So you can kind of pick your start based on some of the gems that you get. So, if you want to get a Flame Totem in there, you're going to be restricted a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's cool.
I was a bit more excited in terms of jumping into the races with that change, because before it was very much like, all right, these are the quest rewards you get, which means you only get a pick between X, Y, Z build as that class. With the gem vendors, I think there's just a lot more to racing, and that definitely pulls me in a lot more. I just haven't had the time yet.
Yeah, I highly encouraging you guys who are watching now to participate in races, guys. It's such a good way to heighten your enjoyment of Path of Exile. It really sounds like something you wouldn't be into. I mean, even for me, I was like, I don't know if I'd really be into that racing that much. But after having actually like played, every time I go to play races, I really thoroughly enjoy it. It makes you a better player. It helps teach you learning, the leveling experience. You become much faster at leveling. So if you like making new builds all the time, you'll get better and faster. You'll get those characters to end game. There's some cool alternate stuff to earn. You can get a couple points in pretty easily in every race, so it's easy to work your way towards some of those lower tier rewards. And then there's like random ones that they do, like draws based on points you earn. Especially good ones that I recommend you guys try are things like Descent Champions and Descent. These offer alternative experiences to the core game, stuff that you don't get in the normal game, like crazy uniques. Like there's this sword that I used for this Templar that I leveled that has like AoE frenzy charge generation and an extra frenzy charge and move speed on frenzy charge. This is like a level 1 all white socket sword you can put on your character right at the start. It is bonkers. There's some awesome stuff there. So some really cool alternate stuff. Boss kills are really fun too. They're like very generous in the time they give you. An hour to kill Brutus, for example, is very easy. So you can get in there, just take your time, work your way towards a Brutus kill, and get a little bit faster each time. That's good. Give it a go, guys. Highly recommend it.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for today. Hey, everybody that tuned in today and participating with getting questions to Chris, all those questions we asked, for the most part, I'd say like 95% of them, with the exception of maybe some follow-up questions, were community-driven. We tried our best to ask the questions you guys really wanted answered. Chris made it very specific. He wanted 2.0 Awakening style questions, not Act 5, all the, what's next for GGG
not too much
questions.
Stuff asking about the future, exactly.
So we tried our best to deliver that. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with today's episode. I wish we had more of a context with caster defenses. I still feel like casters are suffering big time right now, and maybe we'll have an answer in the near future. But I think we should be looking forward to the next 2.0.1 patch with some more content updates. Maybe it'll make warbands more exciting for the people who feel it's not. And then Tempest, hopefully more Abyssal nerfs. But overall, I think Tempest is pretty solid, and I would like to see more things in it other than crap on the ground. That's it, man. It's just like
what's getting added.
It's Exhibit League. Yo, dog, I heard you like some Desecrate, so here's some Shocking Ground and Chilled Ground with it.
Enjoy your FPS.
Very good.
That's it. You guys want to... If you guys don't know... ProjectPT here is going to be hosting here for a little bit. Pox is taking a little bit of a break right now. I wouldn't even call him a substitute. He's a host. He's here hosting with us. And thanks, ProjectPT.
My name, by the way. ZiggyD forgot the T.
ProjectPT.
If you want to check him out, he streams on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/ProjectPT. Obviously, ZiggyD. ZiggyD Live is his Twitch handle, and you're already in mine. Don't forget to toss these guys a follow. And we'll see you in about 2 weeks when we go over, hopefully, the next content update, at least H.
Yeah.
H should be coming out
2.0.1, right? You think?
I think H will be out before that.
Okay.
He said a week, didn't he, for 2.0.1?
He did?
No, I do think 2.0.1 will be out by the next podcast, so we'll probably be able to talk about that.
Let's hope. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. If you want to watch
thanks, it was
this
fun.
later on, it'll be on Ziggy's YouTube. Have a good one, everybody.
Alrighty, catch you later.